bada boom, greetings and hallucinations.
Yeah. So, you know, as you just said, we are always trying to get it right. Hopefully,
Yeah.
one of these days. Um, we are now officially live. Um,
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll have some people chiming in relatively soon. But either way, it's good to see you again, man.
I
It's
see
been a
you.
couple weeks off. We've put up some past videos of yours with, you know, painting Harley Quinn and the Joker and one of your
Yeah.
pinup paintings and things like that for everybody to see, which I'm sure they all thoroughly enjoyed. But now we get to watch you working on your latest kid stuff painting.
Nice kid stuff. This is
All
I've
right.
done this series of skeletons with ray guns that I've had, toy ray guns from my past and even before my past. These are Buck Rogers pistols from 1934. I think they came out. I've had these two for. There's two of them. He's holding them this way, and Gene and I talked about like we did the first gun. I don't know if you remember. It was just a single hand holding the atomic disintegrator,
Yep, I remember.
and that was a single source of light hitting that. The second
Mm-hmm.
one, the profile of the skeleton, you know, holding the Space Outlaw pistol, the
Yeah.
tiny
Okay.
silver one, and that was two light sources. Now this one, he's dead on, holding these two pistols this way, with three sources of light. There's this orangey light coming from the side, of reddish orange. It builds up through yellow and orange and red medium, and then red light, and then red medium, and then into purple. There's blue light, which is phthalo blue and white, with the final highlights phthalo blue and white, and a touch of yellow, cadmium yellow medium, just to give it heading towards that. Then it moves towards ultramarine, so that's a blue light, and then we have a light from below this way, which is a warmish white light, for lack of a better, So you get three sources of light. And if I do another one, I'm thinking I'll do one with four light sources. Like you could theoretically put a light behind him coming from below, from the back, this way.
Wow. Okay.
It's just making it a little more complex lighting wise, each picture.
Well, it's interesting to me that you're progressing, you know, the the puppets, which were a lifeless form of a figure, you know, the puppets,
Mm-hmm.
but the human has to give that puppet life, and you've progressed onto that into the skeleton, which is obviously the human form, but
Yes.
past life,
Right. Well,
you know,
the base
on,
of
on
it.
the on the other side of life. But you've also kept that toy motif of yours, but changed it into the guns, the ray guns, giving us that sci-fi
Yep.
death
Part of what,
ray
yeah,
kind
part
of.
of what I've been hung up on since I was a kid. Right? Science fiction, fantasy,
Yeah.
anatomy for sure, and in so yeah, this continuation of that.
And then progressing it in with the lighting, you know. So that's a cool little subtext that's going on in each of these paintings, is the progression of not only the, you know, the meanings behind works, but what's at the subject matter and what's in them, and how that progresses and plays out from painting to painting.
Yeah,
um, a multi-layer visual there
yeah.
for everybody to figure out. Now, I don't think we've actually mentioned it. We mentioned it in the description and everything, but what are you calling this one?
21st century, and I thought
Uh,
about it because I mean, well, if anybody remembers those who remember Buck Rogers, his whole title in the original comic strip, and then in various serials and then movies and TV and stuff, was Buck Rogers of the 21st century.
mhm.
And so I decided this is just 21st century. And then I started, as I worked on it, worked up the idea, I'm thinking, wait a minute, yeah, well, this is appropriate. This is 21st century man. We are clutching here. I wrote some just notes. I jot the stuff down. 21st century man. We are all heading this way, clutching our guns. killing one another, killing all animal, vegetable, and mineral life, killing Mother Earth. It's all right. So that, or you could just take it as what this is, as a kind of a, it's a horror scene of some kind that's not
Yeah.
related necessarily to that. But no, my thoughts go in that direction.
Yeah. I get it. And it's, I like that you could, there's more than just the, um, the visual, so to speak,
Yeah.
there's a little bit more depth to it, and you look at it and you think about it, and
Well, I mean, that's the
the
beauty of
gun,
what.
sorry, I was say the gun doesn't necessarily even have to represent a literal gun, like it's that term, stick to your guns.
Exactly. Well,
We're all going to go down sticking to our proverbial guns.
exactly. And we're all going to go this direction. And our time here is very, very limited. I know that's a cliche, it's a standard, everybody says it. Yeah, oh, our time is here, life is short, all that stuff, but God damn it, it is. So why
Yeah.
do we do what we do to one another and to the only planet that we have to live on?
Yes. Yep.
It's the madness of the human race, the insanity of it. It's
It,
it's never ending.
no, and when you really think about that, it's typically done uh, for little pieces of paper, you know,
Unbelievable.
that
Unbelievable.
represent things. Yeah.
Even if it was more than little pieces of paper, not that that's matter is all the same, basically. Even if it is those shiny, yellowy metal stuff. So what the fuck?
Yeah.
It, 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 it's all been dug out of the ground. There's nothing here except Mother Nature and creation. Man comes along, digs all out of the ground, invents all kinds of shit. Fantastic shit.
Hmm.
Destructive shit. A bomb that can wipe out and have wiped out an entire city in one drop.
Yep.
We carry on with attacks and assaults on. And then I always come back to the quote too from Chief Seattle: "All things are connected like the blood which unites one family. Whatever befalls the earth befalls the sons of earth. Man did not weave the web of life; he's merely a strand of it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself." Why don't people get that? I mean, I'm including myself, of course. I'm not saying
Yes.
out
Yeah.
there.
No, we're all, yeah,
We're
we're
all
all including
guilty.
ourselves in those thoughts. And
I mean, what is it? But anyway, those are the thoughts that I start to let in the brain dump come
I
to me as I work on something like this. You know?
totally with you. And I mean, we could go down a deep rabbit hole of that conversation
Oh,
and of, like, what are we doing to each other? What are we doing to ourselves, or our planet, everything,
oh,
um, on numerous levels.
oh my
On
God!
numerous levels, we're just not. We absolutely refuse to listen to one another, to just
Totally.
stop reacting and just listen.
Listen,
It's like we refuse to do it.
I know. And where does that head ultimately? You hate to imagine.
Never to a good place, ever.
Never. And it
You know.
seems I don't know. Hey, look. I mean, when you look at history, if even the little superficial readings that I do about history, and I'm not saying that these are the worst of times ever. There have been times much worse than this. You know.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and but still here we are. You think, but as we progress, we thought we progressed. You kind of like live with the illusion that we progress, or we may progress technologically, but ethically, we don't progress.
No.
It's
No.
the same old shit. The seven deadly sins. I mean, they're as deadly as ever, and well used. Probably,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I think what makes it, like you said, we're definitely not in the worst of times, and I think statistically speaking, it's the safest time to be alive on the planet that has ever been,
Yeah.
statistically speaking.
Hmm.
But what makes it so disheartening that we're not maybe further uh, along down the road is that is we now have access to the information. We actually
That,
have access to true information, and yet we either choose to ignore it or people choose to manipulate it for their own benefit and their own gain
yeah.
um, in
Being a kind
ways.
of like a simple-minded, a very naive guy that I am or have been, idealist. I always thought, well, if you project that kind of the internet, that it would unite people. I mean, Teilhard de Chardin was a Jesuit anthropologist. His books were on the blue list in the Catholic Church. He talked about evolution way back in the day, and he projected. I remember reading his book. I forgot what the hell one of it was. As much as I could grasp of it, because it was all about
Mhm.
metaphysics and everything.
Okay.
But he talked about this projecting evolution continuing. I think he did this where in the teens or 20s or something like that. He saw it progressing, mankind evolving, not physically, not that your shape is going to change, you know, but that, spiritually and intellectually, it would evolve to what he called in a globe, a sphere over the entire earth of interconnected minds,
Hmm.
all interconnected. Well, sort of like I guess he was predicting the internet. And I remember reading all that, and if I recall right, had that projection that this would be the great unifying effort, the event that would pull us and bring us all together, as opposed to this separate, individualistic, nationalistic, mentality, religionistic separations, but that we would unite. Well, why didn't it? That's what I wonder. I remember reading it and thinking, yeah, that makes sense. God damn it, that really makes yes. I can see that because what we're ignorance leads to fear, not knowing. Right back in the day, they're the apes around the water hole, and a little more progressed from that. You don't know who's over on the other side of the hill, so you start to fear that simply because you don't know what the hell it is.
Yep.
Then you
Yep.
develop this whole theory about what it is, and they're monsters over there, and they're evil beings, and my God, we don't know. Well, you think, well, we were beyond all that shit.
Yeah.
It's
But
still,
no,
we're not.
it's the internet is such a well, it's such a remarkable thing, and that on it you can find information for just about anything. All
Oh,
right, you have
it's
access
incredible.
to more information than you could ever
It's
handle.
overwhelming.
Uh, there there is a lot of positivity on the internet, but it gets outshined by the droves of negativity and hatred that just
Oh,
pour out. It's I mean, like, for something like just for over anything, like I I talking to Gene before. I don't know if you heard or not. I'm a fan of like 1980s toys, right?
yeah, sure.
In particular, this
Of course.
Masters of the Universe line,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. That's your childhood.
And they just released an updated cartoon on Netflix from this line, and
You mean it's been newly done?
yeah,
Okay.
just they just released it like a few days ago, maybe last week or something. But the amount of hatred and the vile things that are being said, uh, all based around an animated show from a 1980s toy line. I mean, people have like, the director Kevin Smith. You ever
Yeah,
heard of him?
yeah, of course.
He's the guy who did it, and it's like people are saying, Kevin Smith should die. His family should die. I'm like, wait,
What the hell?
like, that's really coming out of your fingers and onto your keyboard, and you're sending it to him
That's overwhelming.
because he wrote something that involves a toy line that you're passionate about. Like,
What is it that they're so enraged about this particular show? What is it? Is there
man,
do they list particulars?
it,
Or,
it's okay. I would say there probably are people that have legitimate gripes, like, oh, I didn't like it for whatever reason. But man, there are people that You know, they focus on a female character, so there are people upset that a female is in the lead. They gave her a more modern female haircut, you know, with like the shaved sides
Oh,
and
oh, yes, okay.
and the top. So then they're upset that they gave her muscles to look like a warrior. So they're upset that she has short hair and has muscles, and they say she's looking like a lesbian, and that you know, that she's no longer feminine and beautiful. And I'm like, the way these guys are talking about an animated character of like she's supposed to be sexy and like
It's
uh
it's
kind of weird.
kind of weird. But I can relate to that. I mean, I relate to this problem because when I did with Tim Terry and the Pirates with Michael Uslan writing and Tim and I illustrating back in the 90s, 94, 95, my God, the response that we were getting because, well, Tribune Media owned Terry and the Pirates,
Yeah,
Milton Caniff's original strip, which was originally set in the 30s and 40s, and which I was a big fan of, huge fan. I mean, my God, it's like one of the masters of
yeah,
idiom of
yep,
sequential art that he was incredible. And but Michael optioned it for developing for film or TV, and asked if we would do the illustrated comic strip because he contacted Tribune Media, got the rights. They said yes. They said yes to us, and they said, but the only thing is you got to update it. In other words, we're not sending it in the 30s and 40s, or why would you do that? Go back and print the original in a sense.
yeah.
And I said, well, fine. So we did. But my God, the reaction, people my age who grew up on the strip, it's just like that. It was like hate stuff. It's like what Terry with an earring, in a flat top, and I forgot what, a punk haircut, and then Pat Ryan, the principal male lead. I gave him the proverbial 5 o'clock shadow thing. With the Wolverine beard, the Indiana Jones
Yeah,
beard. Holy crap! Certain people, big people in the comics too. I don't want to name names.
yeah.
Were appalled by it. You know what I mean? He looks like a bum. And they were infuriated. I was like, what the hell, man? Give me a break. Something like they wouldn't even talk to me. You know what I mean?
Seriously.
Yeah. It was like weird. It was like really, come on, relax, man. Choose your battles for Christ's sake. You know? Say,
Choose your
well,
battles.
and again, the converse, the flop side of that coin, the yin yang of the yin or the yin of the yang, is look at how art can move people.
It's
Yeah, I mean,
true.
not necessarily a good way, but also, I mean, it really it's drawings. I mean, it's pencil line and ink on a piece of paper
Yeah,
and paint. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
that
You
is,
know,
that is true, and that's you know, my wife Angela has pointed that out to me. Not over Masters of the Universe, but I did an abstract painting one time. I think you actually could kind of see part of it behind. I have like one of mine, and then all my kids' art right behind me. But we had a woman that we knew come to the house, and she just stood in front of it and kept repeating how much she hated the, the painting.
which
Like
is
it made her angry. Like looking at the painting, it made her angry, and she's just like, I can't stand. I hate this. I'm like, wow, you know, like
did she say why? Could she articulate it?
no, she could not articulate why. She just hated it, and it made her angry. And I got, you know, I was like, well, that's a bit insulting, you know. And
But
Angela's like, you know, don't look at it as being insulting. Just, you know, like she's having a reaction to your artwork, and it's
yeah,
better to have some kind of reaction
absolutely. Good press is
than
better than no press. I mean,
than
bad press is better than no press.
apathy.
Yeah.
And I guess at least she kept her responses to, "Hey, I hate your art," rather than "I hate you for making this art, and I think you should die." Which, so I guess I can count myself
Well,
lucky on that.
you're a big fan of Masters of the Universe. That's your kid
Yeah,
thing. What did you think about this new one?
I loved it. I loved it. I
Cool.
I mean, I felt that you know, because they, spoiler alert if anybody's going to watch it here, but uh, they remove the main character right away, right? And then it's on a quest to kind of recover him, so to speak, right?
Uh-huh.
And but to me, it's like, okay, you know, you got this character that's so all powerful. He's very much like Superman in the way that, like, almost, you know, how do you defeat the character,
Yeah.
right? You know, so if you just have him all the time, there's no real threat or anything like that in the
Right.
show. So you get get rid of him in a very good way, and then you're on a quest to try to bring him back and
Fantastic.
recover him.
Establish all your
And
characters. Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I thought and a lot of the gripe with how the main character, the female character, acted seemed legitimate to me. Like, you know,
Hmm.
she found out everybody her entire life lied to her, and so I thought it was great. I thought it was extremely
I'll
well
have to
done.
watch it. I'll take a look at it and see.
But it wasn't the 1980s cartoon, and
Nor should it be,
nor
because
should it be.
it's not 1980. It's like,
You know, so when I watched it, I was going to ask you, so I'm glad this whole conversation came up, is if you had ever been in a situation of where you received that kind of negative
well,
backlash. But so yeah, I'm glad you
the
brought up
Terry
the
and the
whole
Pirates
Terry.
thing. Well, I had people too respond. I remember when Tim and I did the Marvel Masterpieces trading card set, and which I really enjoyed the hell out of. And I'm looking at it, you know, look, there's so much art by that point. You're looking at everything in the Marvel universe, artists' work, and thinking, wow, how do I go with this? Well, the only artist I really looked at was then finally boiling it down to Jack Kirby, because let's be honest about it, he's the foundation of
Yep.
all that.
Yep.
And then decided to crank it all up, given the time frame too, the '90s, and superheroes were becoming like, and I
Yeah.
just got
Yeah.
totally into that exaggeration. A lot of it, not all. I don't think everything, but a lot of it. And a lot of
Yep.
people were opposed to that. They hated that. And on the other side of that though, what people I heard say was there was big disappointment of the fans of Tim's and my Lord of the Rings art from the '70s, that they felt that they were anticipating that my Marvel stuff would have the quality and the look or the appearance or the feeling of the Lord of the Rings art, which was like, what are you talking about? It's two separate worlds. I mean, one has no relationship to the other. It's like you think, you know. I mean, so people always. I think there's a problem. I think a lot of the times with certain people, when they fall in love with your work or the artwork of a certain time frame, that's it. And the way I put that is, these people want to keep me in their past. I should not be allowed to keep moving forward and try different things out, good, bad, or indifferent, fail or not fail. I don't give a shit. But try
Yeah.
and keep moving along the path on the quest. On that quest, you should
Yeah.
just stay back there and just kind of crank it out. I guess like a gerbil,
Yeah.
like a hamster in a wheel, or something. I'm not sure. So
I
no,
guess it.
Jean's saying from off. She's saying that don't make those people wrong. I'm not making people. No, you're right. I'm not making them wrong. I'm just trying to express the way I feel. In terms of
Yeah.
you got to keep growing. You got to keep moving along.
And I totally understand people, you know, liking a certain thing and reflecting on that certain thing because, you know, maybe it represented a peaceful time in their life or something they truly enjoyed and loved. And that's great. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm gonna respectfully disagree with Gene in the background. Um, when they start, sorry, my dog is now pulling on my wire. When they start putting death threats out,
Oh, that's
because
insane.
what you're doing now is doesn't match what they knew from their childhood, or um, you know, sending you hate mail or even refusing to talk to you because it doesn't match up with a vision of something that previously existed. I mean, that to me is wrong.
Well, it's anti what nature in a way. It's anti growth. It's like trees should get to a certain point, stop growing because you like the way they look like that. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's insane. Really, it's certifiable to me in a way.
Yeah.
That mentality.
And I mean,
Everything was free. In other words, where do you take that back to? To the apes around the water hole that you should never change and move forward? What
yeah, I
stage?
guess.
At what place do you go back to? People, the good old days. Well, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Jeez.
Oh,
We're
but
getting, well, this
this is,
again, this triggers it off.
yeah. But the conversation that we're having is a legitimate conversation that you deal with in art, and you deal with anything that has a fan base and that
Yeah.
draws a strong reaction.
Yeah.
But it's great to have a strong reaction and to feel passionate about something,
Absolutely.
but keeping your passions in check.
The negative ones.
Yes. And then realizing that you have to allow people room to grow
And be
that
who
not
they
you're
are.
not gonna like everything.
Yeah, and be who they are, and celebrate the difference that's there between them and you. That it's not all just you. I mean, what are you? There's one of you in the whole universe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the variety is endless, and everybody should be jumping for joy over that variety, seeing it for what it is, and respecting and.
And I'm gonna ask you then the follow-up question, because I in a Facebook group, like for Masters of the Universe fans, I made the statement that I don't know why any creator other than just strictly doing it for the money, why a creator would want to now jump on such a well-established intellectual property and open themselves up to the amount of hate that's out there and available. And for making that statement, some guy started trolling me. And he just started blasting me with messages. And then so I went to his profile and looked at him, and like it was just a troll account. And what I mean by troll account is, like, he doesn't post anything. He just has an account set up so he can go gripe and complain and cause problems.
It's overwhelming. People have, God.
So, with that, I mean, like right now, you do like Thor covers and like different Marvel covers. You do the TSO stuff that you've established over all these years.
Doing that right now. I've got.
But do you feel? Would you feel any hesitancy of possibly jumping back into a project like that, of reimagining something that's so popular or was so popular or anything like that? Would you have any hesitancy going for it, or like would you just
No, not in any way, form, or manner, other than the hesitancy of the self doubt of whether or not I'd be up for doing something, whether that would be justified. In other words, it has to have something there that I really feel and see, that I really believe that I could bring to it in a new form. But if that was there, then yeah, I'd have that confidence to go ahead with it. Yeah, but not on any other kind of not on any other grounds that I can think of. Would I hesitate?
So yeah, just negative, any possible negative reaction, just be damned.
Oh, I don't think about that. You can't think.
Go for it.
You can't think about negative reaction from anybody in your work. I don't. I never did. I can't. I mean, why would I? How could I? I don't know what reaction they're going to have. I'd have to invent. I'd be sitting around paranoid. I'd never get anything done because I'd be living in fear, hiding in a closet somewhere, terrified. I mean, I don't ever think about negative reactions. If they're there, they're there. Okay, fine. You got your right to be a negative reaction. I mean, what the hell am I going to do? I'm just trying to figure out and get it right myself, and so that's all what it's about to me.
Yeah. So okay. So with that being said, is that something that would pop up and you're able to just put it down and put it to the side, or it's just never a consideration?
You mean the possibility to do a project like that,
Not the
or
actual possibility, like when you sit down to do Shadows of the Empire, right?
uh
You know just as well as anybody that Star Wars has a rabid fan base,
yeah.
right? Um, so like if you were sitting down to do 100 Shadows of the Empire cards, or how
Mhm.
many ever cards were in that
Yeah, I think it
series,
was 100.
um, did is the you said you don't worry about it, but is it something that like shows itself in the back of your mind, like people might get angry, upset about
Not
this,
at
and
least
you're able to push it down,
not not
or
not, not
it's not a thought at
not
all?
it's not a thought at all. The thought is no different than any other painting that I'm doing or drawing that I'm doing. I'm just trying to get a good composition, good lighting, interesting movement, nice angle. Is it medium shot, long shot, or close up? I'm just concerned with the procedure and the process that I'm going through. That's all that concerns me. It can be anything in front of me. I don't care what it is. Star Wars pops up, some painting of a landscape. I don't care what the hell it is. The issues are all the same. Good
Hmm.
composition, good drawing, good lighting, good color, good movement. You know, that's all I think about. That's it.
That's a good
I
way.
mean, it doesn't matter what the hell's in front of me.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. And so yeah, I think if you did consider it, you might be paralyzed in
Totally.
fear.
I mean, you wouldn't. How could you move? Oh my God, we're going to come after me. Ooh, I can't. You know, I. It's no that it isn't there. The thought's not there. The fear's not there. The anxiety's not there. The anxiety is only about getting the picture right and as good as it can be in the time frame that you have. The time
Yeah,
issue is always there. With that kind of stuff. That stuff.
yeah,
You
yeah.
got to get so much done, and how do you, especially in the comics? My God, so much work has to be done in such short periods of time. It's amazing to me that they're able to pull it off. Consistently.
Yeah, yeah. The time scale is just they're machines. I mean, they're just absolutely machines.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. So
So we're gonna jump back to the painting you're working on there. Uh, when the announcement for, hey, we're gonna be live again, and Greg is gonna be starting his painting. It now
well,
appears that we're pretty well past the
yeah,
starting phase.
it's beyond start. I actually started painting. What is today? Thursday. I started painting this. I think on Tuesday. Started
Okay,
painting it
2
on
days.
Tuesday. But first thing, the procedure is, first of all, the concept. The guy. I knew I wanted to do this. Gene and I discuss it. Let's do cross guns, and then I picked the particular toy guns that I have. I have these two Buck Rogers pistols. They're different from each other, and so that I get those, and then I shoot the skeleton, Gene's skeleton, and do a composite. You can't really get the skeleton the way it's strung into the right position of the arms. So you got to keep shooting the hands and arms, and finally do a whole drawing of the whole thing. So I shoot it, and here's the big color shot print of just that section, and then I get Gene posed holding the guns for me to get the right lighting on them. And then like I say, I put that all together into this particular composite then, and that's really quick, a day or so. And then we determine the size of the painting. Gene and I talk about that. So from this particular setup layout, blow it up 250% to get to the size that we decided. So I'm going to do it on my copy machine. Take this, stick it in there, blow it up, and then you got to tape all the sheets together because we don't have paper that big. And then the sheets all come together like this. There it is, like that. I cut a canvas paint the canvas black. That is to say, 2 coats thinly applied of Mars black, and then 2 coats of dioxazine purple. Then I tape this onto the canvas, and with a ball, I put white transfer paper underneath, and with a ballpoint pen, I just outline everything. And that comes out as a white line on this. And then, like I say, I've already determined the color of light. Normally I don't depend on color photography, but in this case I do, deciding, well, I had a blue, we got these colored lights, you know what I mean, like party lights, that's all you need.
Yeah.
And lit it. I wanted the blue from the top, I wanted this reddish orange from the side, and I wanted this more or less, this is just a 50-watt light bulb from the bottom. And mix the paint up. There's the blues. You can see it without no shine. It goes from, there's ultramarine and white, phthalo blue and white, phthalo blue and white with yellow in it, and then into the ultramarine purple, dioxazine purple. So that's the blue. This is the light on the skeleton and the guns, because it's a neutral kind of like surface. It builds towards white and yellow highlight, with a slightly warmish yellow. Then it's yellow ochre, raw sienna and white, and into the raw, and then burnt umber and white, and then into the burnt umber purple. So everything's going towards the purple, and then the red is, yellow and white, cadmium orange and white, cadmium red light and white, cadmium red medium and white, and into the cadmium and rhodium I start to add purple. So all the colors are going to purple, which is all the darkest. You have the shadow color being purple is the same color for all these different light sources. So all the darks go into that. You say it all moves towards
that's
purple.
how you unify.
Yeah.
Unify your color palette.
Unify it, simplify it. In other words, and then you can see the palettes like I've laid out here. I keep them neat and clean like that all the while I paint. And I think we've talked about this before, where Tim and I evolved that because we had to paint separately and individually. We had to come up with mixing our colors, really clear, succinct piles of paint, not mixing them all together. See a lot of people when I watch painters paint and how they're smudging around on their palettes and smearing everything together. I don't know how they paint like that. First of all, it's magic to me. But Tim and I couldn't have possibly painted like that, handed that palette to Tim or me to take home and paint with, because you'd open it up and you say, what the hell? So you got to keep the piles very succinct, clean from each other, understanding that you have to move as you paint this color. You have to paint through all the colors of blue that you've mixed up. You can't jump a color and move towards a shadow color because it'll turn to mud. So we understand you just move through all the colors you've mixed up. And again, like I always say, it's only about getting this up there in the right order. That's literally what it comes down to.
That's the entire exercise of every painting you've ever done, is getting this up there
in the right order. Yeah, it's like the figuring it all out is on that palette. The color, the highlight to the shadow, highlight to the shadow of each color you're painting, and what color of light you've chosen from the highlight. Of course, you got to understand how to make all those colors of light work together.
Yeah.
You
also have to know how to apply those colors to the canvas.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other. That's you take that and you smear it around, and you figure that out as you go.
Yeah, you just.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you do that, and
you crack me up, man. You go through all this explanation on all these colors to get them to lay out on the palette, and then how do we get that to look like a skull? Well, you just.
Well, you've got your reference, a goddamn good reference here. Look at this. You're looking at it. You're you're seeing everything. It's all right there. It's somebody said to me, I always like this quote too, because at some show we were, I said, is that all you do is copy photographs? Yeah. Other stuff too, but I mean, uh, but the fun too of this big, when you paint big, like look at this head, it's like, it's pretty good size.
Oh wow.
You know,
Yeah.
see how big it, and you use bigger brushes, which is the beauty of it. So you can go, and you kind of leave it, from a distance, it looks very detailed, almost photographic.
Hmm.
But you get up close and you see it's very scumbled and loosely painted. It's very. You come up to some of these zones, they look like abstract paintings.
Yeah.
But I like that. You know.
Now, have you, the person who probably nailed that kind of thing, or nails it almost better than anyone, is Chuck Close.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Like, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, it's like little squares and
Yeah,
triangles
that's
and all that
insane.
stuff. It's like, wait, what? And then you back up and it's a photorealistic
Right.
painting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's almost
Have you
yeah.
have you ever thought about trying to do something like that where you just it's enormous, but then do your little, because yeah, I mean, I've seen your work up close, and it's the
Yeah. I
plopped
mean,
on brush strokes and
I'd like to get bigger and bigger. I could see myself painting with brushes that wide. You know.
Mhm.
I think this. I think the physical movement thing is different than this.
Yes.
It,
Yep.
it just it may be the exact same subject, you're using the exact same colors. It's got nothing to do with that. It's the exact same setup, composition. It's the application that now becomes altered or different, other than you know. Then the application too of paint becomes the next issue. How do you apply it? And I used to go through all these different periods, and Tim did too, of emulating painters and the way they painted. And I remember being very much imbued by Bernie Fuchs. He was
Okay.
King Kong, man, to all the young illustrators in like in the 80s, in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. And when I was working at Jam Handy's, a film company in Detroit, and the young apprentice that would come up, he was incredible. He was very, very realistic in his drawing and his compositions and his lighting, but his application of paint was very. It was mannered, but it didn't look mannered. It was very clearly worked out. A big broad underpainting with a big broad brush, leaving all the streaks and everything, and then putting painting on top of that, leaving all that stuff showing, building it all up. Fantastically beautiful. And I used to try to emulate that. I tried that a lot. Then you start to move away from. Then you look at other illustrators or artists or painters, and going back further in the time to N.C. Wyatt, and you've seen he's not so much that kind of like stylistic modern. But the thing with Fuchs was you could come in and there was all that abstract application of paint, which is beautiful. The combination of the juxtapositions
Hmm.
of the colors. Yet zoom back and it's a representational image. You know.
Yeah.
But NC, I don't remember. He wasn't so much concerned with that. He was just his composition, boldness, and all that. And you emulate that stuff, and you get imbued with it. And then finally, I got to the point where I remember when Jean had her publishing company, and we started to pick all the classics to illustrate. I'm going through all that in my head. Thinking that other illustrators or artists or painters. And then finally, I just said, "The hell with it. I am anti-style. I'm not thinking of style. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm putting it completely out of my head. I'm not thinking about it. I'm just going to sit here and draw and paint pictures." And because ultimately, that all your own style, if you want an application of paint, is something that
Yeah.
evolves in you. It just emerges. You can't. It's good to look at all kinds of other people's work. I'm not saying for young painters and all that stuff to constantly look at them and analyze it and emulate it, but then you'll eventually find just what you want to do. Finally, you just say, "The hell with it. I'm just going to paint," and hopefully, all that stuff's inside of you, kind of like thing. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. And you're just pulling from different like resource materials and then ultimately defining who you are, your own voice in the wilderness, for lack of a
Right.
better term.
Yeah.
I
You
say
know,
those because those classics. I mean, that's a definitive Greg Hildebrandt style in those classics.
yeah, I really enjoyed the hell out of that. And of course, I had panic attack on and off through that, especially with Alice in Wonderland. For some reason, Alice in Wonderland. I guess that's an appropriate one to have a panic attack over. I did. I literally had this all-out panic attack. I mean, when I say it was like in the picture that it was occurring on. I think maybe we talked about this already. Was Alice falling
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole?
Yeah.
And it's like I because I mean, in my mind there was this pile up of, oh my god, everybody has done Alice in Wonderland, aside from Tennille's original drawings. I mean, down to Salvador Dali,
Yeah.
And finally, you just say, well, what the hell? I can't think about any of that stuff, and I can't look at any of it. I just got to do what I'm going to do, and that's sink or swim.
Yep.
And that's the thing. I think it's kind of a weird. I was just going to say, the thing about painting, once you get down to painting, you just can't think about it. You just got to do it, and yet you got to think about it a lot too. Kind of like, the yin and yang thing or something.
There's always the push and the pull of
Yeah. Sort of like
you can't overthink it so much that you cripple yourself.
Right.
But you then can't not think about it so much that you don't actually accomplish what you're trying to accomplish.
Right. And another thing that just jumped in my mind as I'm doing this is you got to get yourself to a point mentally where you don't give a damn. When I say don't give a damn, it's a weird thing. It's a combination. The thing's got to mean nothing to you, and it's got to mean everything to you. So, at the same time.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But it's you. You can't dwell on it to the, oh my god. I mean, well, so what? So if you make a wrong stroke, well, you just wipe it out, and paint it over. Or if the picture ends up not looking all that high, oh, fine. You got through it. Now go on to the next thing. Learn from what you did, but you're not going to die necessarily.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I to go along with that, I used to work with people with disabilities.
Yep.
It went into some school systems and helped them set up art programs and things like that. And convincing different administrators and stuff, like their art doesn't necessarily have to look like anything.
Yeah.
Just let them have fun, let them experiment, and let them be in total control of what they're doing, because making a drawing or making a painting is absolutely the safest place that you can be in 100% control of.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's like,
you
don't
totally
want to give someone total control if they need help taking medication.
Yeah.
You don't want that, but letting them dictate every little thing for good or bad over a painting, it's safe. Like you said, you're not going to die, whether it comes out great or comes out bad. You're not going to die.
Right. And you had to convince people that were running this institution that was the way.
Yeah. Well, okay, we won't call it an institution. Sorry, got to correct you on that, Greg. But if people come from certain thoughts and backgrounds, and there's nothing wrong with it per se, but it's of like, if somebody's making art, it should look like something.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, I should be able to tell that this is a Santa Claus, or I should be able to tell.
Not necessarily so. Right?
Not
doesn't have to be that way.
But yeah, exactly. But not
Especially
everyone.
with, yeah, well, the people that you work with, they were completely physically incapacitated.
Yes. Yep.
How could they? What are they supposed to do? Draw like Michelangelo? I mean,
Well,
it's irrational.
yes, and unfortunately, though, those thoughts led to then people helping them out a bit too much.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
uh, and like, oh well, we have to have something nice to show mom, so let me help you out with this.
Uh,
And
yeah.
then they kind of take over, and then there's nothing of the artist left in the piece.
Yeah.
So it all comes from a good place. It all came from a good hearted place,
Yeah.
but not of, hey, just let it be whatever it'll be,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so I like that with where you were going with it, of just getting to a place of where it's everything and nothing,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's a complete duality almost through everything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And it's like you don't have to suffer through it. You don't. I mean, I'm not. It's easier said than done because I've certainly done enough mental suffering, agonizing over work. But you finally just get to the point where just, God damn it, you just do it. Just this. I know artists, they just talk about it too much and think about it too much. You just sit down and do it. Damn it. You know. It's just,
I've definitely been guilty of that.
well, I mean,
And
yeah, we all have. It's. But I mean, I'm talking out of age and experience. You know, you get to a point where just do it, man.
we
Whatever
not
happens.
only not only age and experience, but of someone who is highly prolific. I don't know that there's uh, an artist that has produced as many paintings and drawings uh, to your caliber on a consistent basis. I mean, the
Well,
body of work you have is insane.
yeah, it is insane, and that's kind of an that's obsessive compulsive OCB, obsessive compulsive behavior, not disorder. Only that's the negative thing. I'm talking about behavior. If you ain't got that, I don't know how you get anywhere. It's what's got me from staying making art and making my living off of making art since I was professionally since I was 18 and I'm 82. You know,
Yeah.
I've never had to do anything else. I mean, I never had to go out and fortunately, and that's because of this obsessive. It's always like it's not there yet. I got to get it. It's got to get better. I got to. It's a constant thing, and I guess I don't know if you can learn that. Can you think you can learn? I think that you either got that or you don't got that. Kind of,
That
right?
amount of obsessiveness.
You can't learn. I mean, you can learn the mechanics of things. How to
Yeah.
mix paint from this highlight to this shadow color. Blah blah blah. The color theory that Tim and I evolved. That's
Yep.
teachable. People can learn that. The drive to
Yep.
keep at it constantly is something else, right? And that's the only way you get anywhere.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I would say that it could be learned or not. I know that it could be there and that it could go away, and that
Yeah,
it could be and that it could be recovered.
yeah. I mean, it can go away for all kinds of reasons. Clearly, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, and recover. Why, you talking out of experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And like for like one of the things of, I mean, just for any multitude of reasons, that things could go away, or like mental issues or health issues,
Exterior
um
stuff happening in your
or too
life.
too many people having an opinion.
Hmm.
you know like
Yeah.
like that's a bad one for me. It's like, it's like, okay, I'm heading down this path, and then all of a sudden I have so many people that now have an opinion on everything,
Ah.
that it
Yeah.
that it crushes something.
Yeah.
And where that's where, like where you're talking about earlier, is just it's not an issue for you. You don't think about it. You're able to ignore it or push it away. that's something that I'm continually working on is,
Yeah,
okay, people are always going to have an opinion. They're always going to say something, but I had a particular vision, and I have to run with that tunnel vision,
sure,
because at the end of the day, I'm the only one who has my own self
of
interest.
course.
You know, so
And then,
it's
and we've talked about the other side of this kind of like, or another shoot of this conversation that we've talked about. I think I remember brought up that you're stuck always in this position of putting aside, for lack of a better term, higher objectives. You have to put that aside, abandon it, or put it aside, or postpone it for a lower objective in the moment. I'm talking about in work. It's, you know what I mean.
yes,
I'm not
yep,
talking about only specifically. You have these ideas that are not economically feasible. You know,
yep,
particularly in that moment, but you have to jump into it and take the risk of doing it in the hopes that someone will like it and want to buy it, so you can pay your bills off. Or you take the path, which I've done more constantly, that you
yep.
take the thing that is offered there because somebody's hired you, and you do that, but you don't give it any less enthusiasm. I don't.
Yeah.
You have to, and I don't know if that can be learned or taught. I think that you just have to make your mind up that you can't, whatever you do, if you're going to say yes to it, you've made a commitment, and you have to give it everything you've got. You know, even down to a toilet training book that I did in 1970. Once you say yes to it, well, you have to you have to listen to the doctors you're involved with. You have to get exactly what they want. You have to pay attention. You have to try to do a good drawing, little int drawing. You have to, you can't just make it stick figures. As much
Yep.
as you're not turned on by that, you still have to give it as much push, as much enthusiasm, as much commitment, as much integrity as you would to something that turns you on personally.
Hmm.
That's what I guess helps make it in the professional world, doesn't it? Is that ability to be
And
able to do that.
whether that could be taught or not, I don't know. But I do know that the entire self-help genre of books uh, are essentially trying to teach people that. Like,
Yeah, I
how to
remember.
be motivated, how to
I,
do
I,
this, how to do
I
that.
remember a painter I met. Not to mention names again too. He was an illustrator, great illustrator, fantastic book cover, a lot of paperbacks, extremely well done, very much successful at it, very much well known in that genre. And I remember going to his house to meet him, and none of that stuff was visible. Only visible in his upstairs where he lived with his family was his personal work. That was he was driven to do, and they were magnificent on all levels.
Hmm.
Pencil drawings that were overwhelmingly beautiful, ballpoint renderings finely done, but paintings, symbolistic paintings that were loaded with content and meaning that were magnificent. And this is what he really wanted to talk about and show off. And I could just see the guy was troubled. You could just, you could see the anxiety oozing out of him, his eyes, his look, his movements, his attitude, his physical demeanor. And I kept saying, "Well, where's your illustrations?" Oh, he said, "No, no, 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 no. Well, I'd like to see it. No, 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 no. Fine, all right." Walk plump, plump, plump to the kitchen door to the basement. Click the light on. Go down the basement, and there's all these. And he painted on masonite panels. They're all laying all against the wall and floors, scratched like he's picking them up like this. And yeah, throwing it in the corner in front to physically show how he disdained and hated it. You see this guy ripped right down the middle. Like two, like, and I thought, my God, I left there thinking, N.C. Wyeth, I remember reading then later, N.C. Wyeth was that way about his illustration, ripping himself in half with picture making. That's what they called illustration back then. He did. Howard Pyle did. The grand masters of American illustration. The
Yeah.
picture making now, gallery is everything. That's now they call it fine art, illustration art, and this particular artist was. I could just see the horrible dilemma. It was like the Jekyll Hyde Two-Face ripped apart. You could paint the picture. You know what I'm saying? Him, it just torn physically. I mean, I can't talk about that enough. And I left his house thinking, my God, this poor guy. I don't know how long he's going to live. You can see him damaging himself to the rather than say, this is that, this is that. I'll do this and I'll give it everything I got. And when I stop that, I'll do this and give it everything I got. That's like click on, click off. I think you could intellectually learn that.
Yeah, intellectually learn it, but you need to emotionally learn it.
Oh, that's a whole other thing. Then quit being a fucking baby. Wake up. You know how many brave men are out there dying? Remember Patton swatting the guy? just give it boom.
But yeah, you got to think that there's artists who, like, this is my art, and it's who I am.
Yeah.
It's part of their identity.
Right.
And then there's the stuff that they're doing for a job, and it's just a job. It's not me. It's not who I am. And everybody loves this thing over here.
Yeah.
Nobody's acknowledging this thing over here.
Right.
And
mm-hmm. Well, welcome to the club. I mean, it's been that way since the beginning of time, and that's the way it goes. So you roll with the punches, and just be with that and accept it, and you can actually take on commercial projects and make them your own. You can do that. It's possible. You can do that. You can
get
internally
attacked on Facebook.
What?
You might get attacked on Facebook. Just to bring the conversation full circle.
Back to the masters of the universe. So these people that are attacking that, are they the masters of the universe? They want to control the universe, apparently, the assaulters, right? Yeah. they think they're the masters of the universe.
They're not even masters of their own universe.
I think it's
Mr.
funny.
Hildebrandt.
Yes.
We are post 5 o'clock, sir.
Wow, this was an interesting conversation. Well, triggered by
it was
21st century man.
21st. The whole conversation was really about 21st century man.
Yeah.
It really was. And man, I appreciate to be back in the seat and talking with you again this week.
Same here, Keith.
Good to be back and live. And thanks for everybody that was tuning in. We're glad you came back after the couple weeks off. We truly appreciate it. If you want to see more Greg's kid stuff paintings, check them out at spiderwebart.com. And there you can buy prints, 10 signs, books, you name it, all the merch you could think of with of Greg's stuff.
And Gene, wait a minute, Gene just wrote it. Gene just wrote this on my shirt here. It says Gene Scrocco, he's mine. Name me.
That's too funny. Again, as always, people, if you like what we're doing, you like these conversations, hit the like, the share button, tell your friends about them. We truly appreciate everybody coming by and watching and chiming in. And I think that's it for this evening.
See you, Keith.
Good night,
nice talking
everyone.
with you. Nice, everybody.
Thanks
night,
for
Gene.
coming.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye-bye.